Have you ever wondered, why in a world full of comforts and opportunities do we still feel a lack of happiness? Amid countless promises of success secrets, there exists a simple truth that has stood for thousands of years, an ancient philosophy called Stoicism, quietly holding the key to unlocking true happiness. Join a young man named Adrian on his journey to discover the wonder that Stoicism teaches us. Happiness is not something to chase. It is something to awaken from within. Adrian's story. Have you ever felt like you have it all? A stable job, luxury items, admiration from others. But deep inside, there's still an emptiness that can't be filled. This is exactly what Adrian is going through. He lives in a peaceful valley where everyone admires his perfect life. However, at night, Adrian lies awake with the question, what is true happiness? One day, unable to bear the feeling of being lost, Adrian decides to leave behind his familiar comforts and set out on a journey to find the answer. He traverses forests, climbs mountain slopes, until he meets a wise old man living in a small, wooden house on top of a hill. Sitting by the crackling fire, Adrian pours out his heart. The old man smiles, his eyes full of compassion, and shares with him 3 simple teachings from Stoicism. First, gratitude. If you do not appreciate what you have, he says, you will always feel lacking, no matter how much you accumulate. Second, acceptance. Life will always have ups and downs. If you learn to accept instead of resist, you will find peace amidst chaos. Third, love. Love the work you do, love the people around you, and most importantly, love yourself. A heart filled with love will reflect happiness into the world. Adrian sits in silence for a long time. These simple words seem to touch the deepest part of his soul. From that day, he begins to live differently, appreciating every small moment, accepting both joy and sorrow, and opening his heart. Strangely, Adrian no longer needs to search for happiness. He realizes that happiness was never far away. It has always been within the way he lives each day. When his friends in the valley notice the change in Adrian, they curiously ask for his secret. Adrian simply smiles and replies, happiness is not a destination. It is the journey we walk with gratitude, acceptance, and sincere love. 7 Stoic practices to cultivate happiness. Laugh more, a simple yet magical medicine. As we grow up, we gradually lose the habit of laughing joyfully. Every busy day makes us exaggerate everything, to the point where even a smile becomes a luxury. But according to Stoicism, this is a great mistake. Laughter not only makes you feel better, it is also a deeply healing action. When you laugh, your body releases serotonin and endorphins, the happiness hormones that reduce stress, boost immunity, and create a feeling of lightness. Stoicism does not promote superficiality, but encourages us to keep a light heart amid adversity. As Epictetus said, we are not disturbed by things, but by our view of things. So, practice laughing at the small things. Laugh at your own mistakes. Laugh at the absurdity of life. Laugh as a way of saying, I'm okay. Because sometimes, a brief laugh is the starting point for a peaceful soul. Connect with nature. Return to the real rhythm of life. How much time do you spend sitting within 4 walls each day? When was the last time you felt the sunlight, smelled the grass, or heard the wind? Stoicism teaches us to live in harmony with nature, not through grand trips, but through daily connection. Walking under the trees, sitting quietly by a sunlit window, or simply disconnecting from your phone for a few minutes. Modern research shows that just 20 minutes in nature each day can significantly reduce stress hormones. This makes Marcus Aurelius's teaching even more profound. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. By following the Stoic spirit, you don't need to escape to the forest. You just need to give yourself the chance to reconnect with what's real, to find calmness, lightness, and depth in each moment. Become a morning person. Take control. Instead of being swept away, the alarm rings, you snooze it and think, just 5 more minutes. But then you jump up in a hurry, frantic with a day that's already running late. This is when you lose control right from the start. According to Stoicism, a good day starts with a proactive morning. Marcus Aurelius once said, "We are not born to stay under blankets, but to do what is needed." The purposeful journey of life begins the moment you decide to leave your bed, not because you have to, but because it matters. Waking up early is not just a habit, but a declaration. I am in control of my time. Even if it's just 15 minutes. Earlier, you'll find that you have space to breathe, exercise, jot down a note of gratitude in your journal, or simply enjoy a quiet cup of coffee. Stoicism emphasizes mindful living, and the quiet time in the morning is fertile ground to plant seeds of peace, awareness, and inner strength. Plan your day. Live with purpose. Don't let time slip by unused. Have you ever ended a day and asked yourself, what did I accomplish today? If the answer is vague, perhaps you've let time lead you, rather than the other way around. Stoicism views time as the most valuable asset. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a great deal of it." A planned day is not to force yourself, but to live with intention, choice, and value. You don't need a packed schedule, just identify a few important tasks you want to do and organize them logically. It could be a call to a loved one, finishing a pending work task, or simply dedicating an hour to learn something you enjoy. When you know what you're living for, you feel more fulfilled, content, and surprisingly, happier. That's the effect of a Stoic mindset, making the most of time as if it were your last chance to live better than yesterday. Persevere with passion. Don't give up on what makes you truly alive. How many times have you started something with excitement, only to quit midway because it seemed too hard? It could be learning an instrument, writing a book, or even pursuing a dream job. The truth is, everything worthwhile requires time and effort. Those who follow the philosophy of Stoicism understand that difficulties are not signs to stop. They are opportunities to grow. Seneca once said, "It is not the difficulty that keeps us from acting. It is because we do not act that it becomes difficult." Remember why you started. What made your heart stir? Why did you find it worthwhile? When you return to that initial spark, you'll gain the motivation to keep going, even slowly, but without giving up. Like a young plant taking root in the soil, today's efforts, though unseen, are quietly nurturing a strong future. Genuine kindness, the gentle yet persistent power. In a noisy, fast-paced world, kindness is often seen as weakness. But the true Stoic knows it is kindness that is the most powerful act, because it requires a generous heart and self-control. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Kindness is invincible when it comes from sincerity. A word of care, a compassionate glance, a gesture of selflessness, all can become threads that silently connect us. And the best part? When you treat others with kindness, you are also healing yourself. The feeling of doing what is right, no matter how small, will accumulate into lasting joy. A happiness that is unpretentious, but steadfast. Embrace opportunities. Say yes. More to life. How many times have you turned down an opportunity simply because you felt shy? An invitation to hang out? A new job offer? Or simply trying a new dish? Stoicism doesn't encourage living recklessly, but it encourages living fully. Every time you say yes to something that makes you a little nervous, you are opening a new door. And that door may lead to something wonderful you never even considered. Epictetus taught, "It is not the event that matters, but how we respond to it." And sometimes the response is simply stepping out of your comfort zone. Saying yes doesn't mean recklessness. It means living with an open mind, open to experience, to learning, to connecting, and to being happier. Habits. For living slower and happier, turn off your phone. Reconnect with yourself, have you noticed? We check our phones almost instinctively, while waiting for the elevator, eating, or even chatting with loved ones. The scary part is, the more we connect with the virtual world, the more we drift away from ourselves. Stoics, thousands of years ago, warned about the distraction of the mind. Seneca wrote, "He who is everywhere is truly nowhere." Try turning off your phone for 1 hour each day to hear the birds sing, taste your meal, or simply experience real silence. Don't let a device make you miss the most precious things, being fully present in the real life. Rest and go somewhere. Recharge your life energy. As we grow older, we tend to postpone rest. Rest is not part of the work schedule. Rest often comes with feelings of guilt. But those who follow Stoicism understand, recharging is not a luxury, it's a responsibility. Marcus Aurelius, even as an emperor, would take time to retreat to the mountains, to reflect and find peace. You don't need an extravagant vacation. A walk in the park, a weekend getaway from the city, or simply lying still doing nothing is enough to recharge your mind. Because to live deeply, you must first learn to stop at the right time. Connect with family and friends. Happiness is meant to be shared. In our hustle to achieve, we sometimes forget the original reasons, why we began, and for whom. Stoicism does not advocate isolation. On the contrary, Marcus Aurelius emphasized, man was made to help one another. Happiness does not grow in solitude, but in the relationships nurtured every day. Take the initiative to call an old friend, cook a meal with family, or simply listen to someone with your full attention. This is how you slow down and live more deeply. Help others. The quickest way to feel fulfilled. When you feel lost, do something for someone else. This is the effective medicine Stoicism always reminds us of: selfless action. It doesn't have to be grand. A word of encouragement, a hug, or helping someone cross the street. These are actions with a powerful ripple effect. Not only do you help others, but you also heal yourself. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What is not good for the swarm is not good for the bee." Lasting happiness always begins with giving. Be grateful for what you have. Look back, instead of always looking up. Modern life teaches us to constantly strive for more, but seldom teaches us to stop and be grateful. Stoicism, on the other hand, encourages us to be grateful for even the smallest things: a meal, a morning without traffic, or simply the ability to breathe. Seneca once said, "It is not the one who has little, but the one who always feels lacking, who is truly poor." Start with a simple habit. Every evening, write down 3 things you are grateful for from the day. Over time, you will realize you lack nothing. Letting go of resentment, the final step to inner freedom. There are wounds we think we've forgotten, but just one word, one familiar face, and our hearts ache as if it were just yesterday. Resentment sometimes doesn't have to be grand, but it silently becomes the chains that imprison us. Stoicism doesn't teach us to forgive unconditionally. But this philosophy reminds us, holding on to anger only causes us more pain. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike the one who has harmed you." In other words, letting go is not about forgiving others. It is about freeing yourself. When we hold on to resentment, our minds are always controlled by the past. But when we choose forgiveness, we also choose peace. You don't have to say anything, you don't need reconciliation, and you don't need to pretend to forget. Simply be honest with yourself. I don't want to carry this burden any longer. And then, gently move forward, as if no one ever hurt you enough to make you lose yourself. Forgiveness is not weakness. Forgiveness is the clearest sign of inner strength. And in the spirit of Stoicism, it is the final step to achieving happiness from within. Happiness has never been far away. As you can see, Stoicism doesn't offer rosy promises. It doesn't paint a picture of a life free of suffering. On the contrary, it teaches us that happiness isn't about avoiding hardship, but how we move through it, with gratitude, acceptance, and an open heart. When you laugh more, connect with nature, wake up early with purpose, live with intention, persevere with passion, practice kindness, and say yes to new opportunities, you are gradually nurturing a life worth living, not just surviving. Happiness has never been far away. It is right there, waiting for you to recognize it in every small action, every day. If you found these insights helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue our journey of living mindfully, with strength and growing happier each day. The most beautiful journey always starts with the first step. See you in the next video.